exactly 5:40 p.m. Eastern Time on June 21, 2025, a 30,000-pound steel giant sliced through the Iranian sky at over 700 miles per hour. In just 43 seconds, the GBU-fifty-seven massive ordnance penetrator tore through 200 feet of concrete and rock, slamming into the heart of Fordow, the most heavily protected nuclear site in Iran, buried deep inside a mountain. How much destruction did it really cause? And is there any place left on Earth safe from America's bunker-busting power? Join us as we uncover how the U.S. military stunned Iran and the world by destroying the bunkers once believed to be untouchable. On June 13th, the world watched in shock as Israel launched a surprise wave of airstrikes on Iran's key nuclear facilities and military bases. One by one, strategic sites were hit, and over a dozen top Iranian scientists and military officers were taken out in precise targeted killings. Iran didn't wait long to respond. Within hours, missiles were launched back at Israeli positions, turning the region into a war zone overnight. About 9 days later, the conflict exploded into something far larger. The United States entered the fight. In a calculated show of force, U.S. bombers dropped massive bunker-buster bombs, followed by waves of cruise missiles that slammed into Iran's most fortified locations. In just a few hours, the infrastructure that had taken decades to build and billions of dollars was reduced to rubble. It was one of the most devastating air assaults in modern warfare. In the days before the bombing campaign, the signs were there. U.S. embassies in the region evacuated their staff. American citizens were told to leave immediately. Travel warnings were issued. On June 16th, something strange happened. Iranian systems disrupted ship tracking near the Strait of Hormuz, causing confusion and risk for cargo passing through one of the world's most vital oil routes. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump stirred even more speculation. He posted cryptic messages online, hinting that something far bigger than peace would unfold. Just a day later, he publicly called for Iran to surrender without conditions. Despite this hard line, U.S. officials had already been sent to Tehran to negotiate a nuclear deal. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told allies that the U.S. still hoped for diplomacy, but warned them that they were ready for war if needed. As the pressure mounted, Iran began moving fast. Oil exports surged in anticipation of strikes on its refineries. Nuclear material was quickly relocated from major sites like Fordow and Natanz. At Fordow, a deep, fortified facility buried nearly 300 feet inside a mountain, Iran tried to block off ventilation shafts with thick concrete, hoping to prevent deep penetrating weapons from reaching the core. At the same time, the Houthi rebels in Yemen announced they were ready to join the fight. The U.S. issued a chilling warning in response. Any attack on American interests would be met with crushing force. Inside the U.S., political lines were already being drawn. While top Republicans were quietly briefed ahead of the strikes, leading Democrats were left in the dark, sparking anger in Washington. Russia also entered the picture, warning the U.S. that direct military support for Israel would only throw the region into deeper chaos. Moscow called it a dangerous escalation that risked dragging more countries into the conflict. The turning point came with Operation Midnight Hammer. For the first time, the U.S. deployed the GBU-fifty-seven massive ordnance penetrator, a 30,000-pound bunker-busting bomb built specifically for sites like Fordow. No country but the United States could deliver it, and only the B-2 stealth bomber was equipped to carry it. The B-2 isn't just a machine, it's the final form of a vision that began nearly 80 years ago. While post-war America focused on highways and housing, Jack Northrop had his eyes on the sky. In 1946, he imagined a radical kind of aircraft with no tail, no fuselage, just a sweeping wing that cut through the air with pure aerodynamic grace. That vision came to life in 1947 as the YB-49, a jet-powered flying wing that looked decades ahead. But there was one major flaw. Without advanced computers, it was wildly unstable, swaying and pitching like a bird in a storm. The military wasn't ready for it, and the program was scrapped in 1949. The prototypes were destroyed, and Northrop's dream was buried. But dreams like that don't stay buried for long. 3 decades later, in 1978, the U.S. Air Force launched a new program, the Advanced Technology Bomber Project. The task was clear: build a bomber that could slip through the most guarded airspace without being spotted. The contract went to Northrop, the company behind the long-abandoned flying wing. Only this time, they had what Jack Northrop never did: advanced computers, new materials, and a blank check from the government. What they created didn't look like a bomber at all. It was a black, bat-shaped machine with a wingspan the size of a football field, capable of flying across continents, dropping nuclear weapons, and disappearing without a trace. It was called the B-2 Spirit, and it changed the rules of modern warfare. The key to its invisibility starts with the way it looks. No cockpit bulge, no tail, no exposed engines, just one smooth flowing wing. The shape makes it nearly impossible to track by radar, as it reflects signals in every direction except straight back to where they came from. It's built not to be seen, not by radar, not by satellites, not by the enemy. But shape is just the beginning. The surface of the B-2 is covered in a radar-absorbing coating so advanced its exact makeup is still classified. Instead of bouncing radar signals, it eats them, like throwing light into darkness. Even the seams are carefully hidden, with large panels joined so precisely that no gaps or sharp edges exist to reflect a signal. The B-2 doesn't look like a regular plane because it isn't one. Its body is flat, wide, and shaped to cut through the sky without being noticed. Every part is smooth, no sharp edges, no sticking out parts. It's built to vanish from radar like a shadow that never stands still. But flying a shape like that isn't easy. Without a tail, a flying wing is unstable. It tilts, it drifts, it doesn't want to stay level. So the B-2 relies on a smart computer system to stay in control. This fly-by-wire system constantly adjusts the plane's movement, correcting it in real time. It's so advanced that the pilot isn't flying the plane alone. The computer is always working beside them to keep it steady. Now about the engines. There are 4 of them, hidden deep inside the wing. You won't see any big air scoops or open fans. The intakes are placed on top, and the exhaust is cooled before it leaves the back. This stops radar and heat sensors from picking up the plane's location. The B-2 moves through the air without sounding or leaving a trail. The body is made from carbon graphite composite, which is strong, light, and can absorb radar. Each part is crafted separately and joined with extreme accuracy. A single gap or uneven edge could ruin the stealth, turning the whole aircraft into a radar target. That's why every seam is hidden and every panel is flawless. When the B-2 was finally revealed in 1988, it didn't just look different, it felt different. It was quiet, smooth, and strange, like something from a distant future. Inside this flying wing are over 130 computers that manage every move, every sensor, and every system. It doesn't just fly, it thinks. When it entered service, there was nothing else like it in the sky. It wasn't ahead of time. It felt like it came from an entirely different era. Its invisibility isn't just about shape. The B-2 uses 3 main tricks. Its design scatters radar, its special coating absorbs radar waves, and its jamming systems confuse enemy tracking. On a radar screen, a B-52 looks like a billboard. A B-2, more like a bird. That's how deep the difference goes. When the B-2 took off for the first time on July 17, 1989, it proved that all the science behind it worked. What began as a wild idea in Jack Northrop's sketchbook had become one of the most advanced aircraft ever built. It wasn't just a machine, but a symbol of what decades of vision, money, and technology could produce. However, stealth is only part of the story. The B-2 can carry up to 20 tons of weapons. That's the weight of 10 full-size cars inside its hidden bomb bay. It can deliver standard bombs, precision-guided munitions, or even nuclear weapons if necessary. For more extreme targets, it can drop a GBU-fifty-seven bunker buster, 15 tons of steel, and explosives built to punch through deep concrete. Then there's its reach. On one fuel tank, the B-2 can fly over 11,000 kilometers. That's enough to travel from the US to almost anywhere. With mid-air refueling, its range becomes global. It can launch from one continent, strike another, and return, all without being seen. It cruises at around 900 kilometers per hour, which isn't blazing fast, but that's the point. It's designed to fly high, quietly, and unnoticed. It operates at altitudes up to 50,000 feet, far above most threats. and is controlled by a crew of just two, a pilot and a mission commander. Together, they run some of the most advanced systems in the U.S. Air Force. Even if GPS fails, the B-2 can still find its way using celestial navigation, literally flying by the stars. It can fly in any weather, day or night, and its radar system helps it stay low over terrain or avoid it completely. Each B-2 bomber carries a jaw-dropping price tag of around $2 billion, more than some small nation's annual economy. This price tag is because the tech inside is years ahead of anything else flying. Most of it is so secret, it won't be public knowledge for decades. Then there's the rarity. Only 21 were ever made, making it one of the most exclusive aircraft on Earth. Keeping it mission-ready is also costly. Its stealth coating isn't permanent. It has to be reapplied often. On top of that, the B-2 is constantly being upgraded. Today's version is flying far smarter, stealthier, and more advanced than the one first unveiled in the late 80s. According to Air Force General Dan Kane, two Defense Threat Reduction Agency officers had spent over 15 years studying the Fordow nuclear site. Their research was key in developing a bunker-busting bomb to break through deep, fortified targets like Fordow. Using simulations, computer models, and hundreds of tests, they helped design a weapon built for one job. General Kane said these officers were so focused on the mission that they even dreamed about Fordow, tracking every detail from vents and exhausts to power lines and equipment since 2009. Reports later revealed that the U.S. and Israel had rehearsed this strike. During the Biden administration, both militaries ran a joint drill simulating an attack in mid-2024. A similar exercise in March 2025 was described as a direct warning to Tehran. On June 16, 2025, just 3 days after Israel launched its strikes, the U.S. began quietly moving forces east across the Atlantic. At least 31 air tankers were sent to Europe, an unusually large number, hinting at a major operation underway. 3 days later, on June 19,